So, it's been a good 4 or 5 months since the Attack on Titan anime finally wrapped up with one of the best series finales that I personally have ever seen. I've been a big fan of the show since Season 3 was still airing over 5 years ago, and I've always wanted to make a video discussing the show in some capacity, but I could never find the right topic. The entire series may be condensed into just 4 seasons, but it's absolutely packed to the brim with extensive and dense lore, complex and multi-dimensional characters with long-running character arcs, and an ever-changing plot that includes an insane amount of callbacks, hidden messages, and clever setups. To adequately cover the entire series would take a Herculean effort that I honestly just have never had in me, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, unfortunately. But luckily, I was finally able to find a topic that would perfectly summarize my general feelings about what makes Attack on Titan so special, and the idea was completely inspired by this one short scene from the finale. This one scene that lasts no longer than 5 minutes illustrates what, in my opinion, is Attack on Titan's most poignant and important message. And it does it all through just one conversation, one calm and friendly debate between two very different, yet somehow very similar characters at the most critical point in the story. Armin and Zeke's conversation in the paths is the most important scene in Attack on Titan. Now, you might hear me say that and think, bullshit. I'm not saying that there aren't other incredibly vital and critical scenes in Attack on Titan. Hell, there are definitely moments and scenes that I would personally consider more memorable, iconic, and jaw-dropping than this scene. But this scene is where we finally get the answer to one of, if not the most important question in Attack on Titan's narrative. And that question is, why? Why? Why the f would anyone want to go on living and fight to survive in the world of Attack on Titan? Giant flesh-eating monsters roam the land. Racism, xenophobia, and generations of governmental corruption have created a world where all the nations are fully prepared for all-out war at any moment. And the only answer that people seem to be able to find for all of these problems is to fight more. I'm sure if I asked 1,000 anime fans if they had the choice of living in one anime world for the rest of their life, which would they pick? Not a single one of them would say Attack on Titan, whether they were fans of the show or not. Attack on Titan is one of the bleakest, most depressing, stomach-churning, and depraved stories that I have ever watched. And it feels like every season raised the bar higher than its predecessor when it came to just how dire the fate of the world was. At the point in the story where Armin and Zeke speak to each other in the paths, things have never been more dire. Eren has started the rumbling, and he's wiped out damn near half the planet. Armin, who was supposed to be the key factor in the big plan to take Eren out, was kidnapped and subdued by Ymir, essentially taking him out of the final battle before it even started.
Tough break, nigga.
With Armin gone and the rest of the heroes fighting for their lives against every Titan ever, pretty much all hope of stopping Eren and saving the world seems lost. That is, until Armin realizes that he isn't actually dead, but rather in a place where death doesn't exist, and he's free to communicate with all the other Eldians in the ethereal realm that the show calls the Paths. It's here where Armin finds Zeke, and these two very critical characters have always been on opposite sides of the war, but now they finally have a chance for a one-on-one talk. I said before that Armin and Zeke are very different, yet somehow very similar, and what I meant by that is that these two, for all intents and purposes, are the strategic leaders behind their respective sides of the main conflict. They're also the two closest characters to Eren in the show, Mikasa excluded, considering that Zeke is Eren's half-brother and Armin is Eren's lifelong best friend. They're also both blonde-haired dorks, but that's less important. Their core difference is truly what separates them to different sides of the war, though. Plain and simple, Zeke wants to end the Eldian race, while Armin wants Eldians and their children to live on. While trapped together in the paths, Zeke explains to Armin how he came to believe in the euthanization plan by basically explaining the origin of life itself. According to Zeke, life is about multiplying. The will and determination that life forms have to defy death by creating a lineage and living on through that lineage is what drives life to persist. Zeke goes on to explain that Ymir, the founder of the Titans, was also driven by the same fear of death. Armin and Zeke ponder about what Ymir's ultimate goal is and admit that whatever she's after is beyond them, but for some reason, it's not beyond Eren. All that Zeke could surmise from his seemingly endless time spent in the paths was that she was unable to defy King Frit's will for some reason. Armin quickly changes the subject to their escape, to which Zeke questions why Armin wants to escape at all. He questions why Armin feels the need to continue fighting such a hopeless battle in a seemingly hopeless world. When Armin gives pushback, this is when Zeke hits Armin with the big boy question.
なぜ負けちゃダメなんだ？生きているということはいずれ死ぬということだろ？案外、事切れる前はホッとするのかもな。
What's the point of fighting to survive when we all will inevitably die? Zeke was a man with grand plans. Due to his traumatic childhood, he took it upon himself to follow through with his mentor and father figure's ultimate plan to save the world through altering Eldian DNA and making it impossible for them to reproduce, otherwise known as the euthanasia plan. Zeke was a character that was always looking at the big picture and sacrificed any notions of a happy life to achieve this goal. Once it became clear that Eren had betrayed him and his lifelong euthanization plan was destroyed, all he could do was wallow in his failure while sitting in a dimension beyond time, death, and space. Forever. Armin takes a second to reflect on Zeke's words, then sees an autumn leaf in the sand beneath his feet. He picks it up and tells Zeke about one of his favorite memories from when he, Eren, and Mikasa were just little kids. It's a very simple memory of just the three of them racing through a field, laughing and enjoying the day. A memory of no noticeable significance. Just a peaceful moment between Armin and the two people he cared about most, and how in that seemingly insignificant moment of joy, he realized that feeling, that memory, was all he ever really wanted in life. While Zeke was obsessed with the bigger picture and dedicated and sacrificed his life to reach a goal that was larger than life itself, Armin fought against similarly insurmountable odds to preserve those simple moments of peace from his childhood. As Armin explains this memory to Zeke with the leaf in his hand, all Zeke sees is the baseball that he and his mentor used to play catch with when he was a child. It's only then that Zeke realizes Armin's point, and also where he had gone so wrong in his life. We all have goals and aspirations that we want to reach. It's important to have a dream or something that you want to accomplish because that's often what drives us to become better. But what's more important than that is understanding why you want to reach that goal in the first place. I'm sure you've heard those stories of people who set high goals, dedicate themselves to achieving them to the point where they neglect friends, family, other hobbies, and things that they really enjoy in life. And then once they reach those goals, they're left without anyone to share in that triumph with, and nothing else to achieve. Zeke spent all that time and effort on a plan that resulted in the deaths of countless innocent people, when at the end of the day, all he really needed was to feel the same simple joy that he felt from playing catch as a kid. And you might be saying to yourself, okay, yeah, that's great writing and all, but why does that make this the most important scene in Attack on Titan? To answer that question, I have to bring up something I said before. Attack on Titan is one of the bleakest, most depressing, stomach-churning, and depraved stories that I have ever watched. So many times in this story, there is no good reason to believe that the quality of life for these characters will ever improve. Yet, they all still fight tooth and nail on all sides of the conflict and risk everything to see the war through. Attack on Titan has many prevalent themes and messages, but the most prevalent, and I think its strongest and most beautifully executed message, is the theme of finding a reason to fight when giving up feels like the easier and more appealing option. This scene perfectly explains the core foundation of the show, that deep down, even if we don't fully realize it ourselves, we set these lofty goals and make these big plans to achieve them because we all want to feel that pure and simple happiness that we once felt as children. And as weird as it might sound, we fight to survive for our own selfish happiness. And sometimes happiness might not be found in the big picture, but rather the small day-to-day details and isolated moments of joy that we feel when we're truly at peace. This conversation between Armin and Zeke, which serves as the turning point for Zeke's character, is not only a pseudo-mission statement for the meaning of the show, but it also serves as a crucial plot moment when the heroes are able to turn the tide in battle and eventually take Eren down and stop the rumbling due to Zeke's change of heart and realizing that life is worth living and protecting, despite the evils that pollute this world. After 4 seasons and 93 episodes, this scene is where we finally get an explanation for what could possibly drive these characters to suffer through all of the pain that the world of Attack on Titan has put them through, and is executed amazingly well. I think I largely resonate with this scene so much because it was the first piece of entertainment that I'd experienced that perfectly put into words my reasons for wanting to live on even in the face of extreme adversity. I could never explain it as cleanly as it was explained in this show, but I've come to realize that despite having the same kinds of big dreams and aspirations that most people have and are driven to achieve, most of my feelings of joy and happiness throughout my life have come from the smaller details. Getting food with friends, watching a new episode of a great show, seeing a cute girl in a grocery store, learning a new riff on guitar, reading about some mindless but entertaining celebrity gossip, calling my dad to ask him if he saw the new Marvel movie yet. All those little dopamine rushes that can fill my day are what usually get me through the day, especially when it feels like I'm far from reaching some larger milestone or goal that I've set for myself. I say all this for anyone who might currently be stuck looking at the big picture too much and missing out on the smaller details of life. Trust me, the older you get, the more you start reflecting on the things you miss or the moments that were most precious to you. And when you do start reflecting on those moments, those little details are going to be the first things that pop into your head. So make sure you take full advantage and cherish as many of them as you can. If you don't, you could end up like Zeke, or Aaron, or Rhina, or anyone else who fell victim to the weight of their own ambitions. Life is about the little things.